Right, but progressed it a little further now. What I've done, I got to that point there where I want this soldier here to be a little stronger. At the moment it's too strong, so I'm going to have to think about doing a little bit of work on him. But I wanted to separate him. You see, here's the end of a line. What happens is the line then continues, goes round the corner and comes out much smaller here. And this is why I had to make him a little stronger, because when you get down to here, we've got to imagine that we've got lots and lots of little people, little soldiers, all lining up, hundreds of them down here. We don't have to put too much detail in. All we have to put in is just some indications, like for instance just slightly irregular line. So we've got maybe little helmets, and imagination is the key here. Now I've got to do something here quite special. I think I better do it before I forget. See, it's nice to have some separations here as well. See, some a little taller than others. Just an indication. You've heard me talk about Impressionism before. Well, this is Impressionism. It's not the actual. But now you see what we've got a problem now. So what I'm going to do there is going to make that, smooth it in as I've done before with the double-ended razor, and then come back slightly on this and make that slightly. Now that's better, isn't it? I'm going to turn it round simply because I need to put just a little more pressure on the 2B pencil. I've only used 2B and only will use 2B on this sky area, but now you see immediately we got a difference between those two, and that's what I was after. So we've got his leg coming down here, and again we don't have to worry about the detail as long as we've got that. Now that looks good, that looks great. So now we've got to come back in here. I might have to lighten it a little bit more later on, but here this is all in silhouette, and I shall blend that as I've done before. You don't necessarily want to see me do that. I've got a very interesting bit coming on where we have the sky. I'm going to be doing the sky on here, and that will then melt into there. Looking forward to that. But what I wanted to show you here was these little people, these little soldiers here. Once they get to there, there's only one thing for it, and that's to swim. What I will do, I think, is put a boat as well. We'll put a little boat in. It's on its way. It doesn't have to be anything, it can't be very big. Maybe a little boat that maybe is coming along to take some of them off. And when they get to there, that's when it gets so tiny, you lose them. And just a little bit of detail on the boat. Again, I don't want to make too much here. There's the pedal. Got to indicate it's a pedal steamer, and we just put just a touch of colour in here. Funnel, and what we'll do, this might be a bit risky, but I think I'll just indicate it's ready to go. Okay? With a little bit of smoke. Maybe I can just whittle that back just a touch. Yes, I can. There we go. So that's ready to go as soon as we're full up. Don't think it's going to take this long, do you, folks? I'll have to wait for the next one. But there's other lots and lots of boats. We're very fortunate in Ramsgate that we have the event every year of the small boats leaving to Dunkirk. It's quite a spectacle, I can tell you. You must have seen it on the news. And I've done this within a few days of that event taking place, so it's fresh in my mind. You don't have to be very special with this. It's as long as you indicate, and there'll be lots and lots and lots of them. Some bigger than others. But this one is unfortunately been sunk. So what we do with this is we'll put it in. It's obviously nearer than the others. It helps to give us perspective in more ways than one, really. In fact, the dangers that were there. And just can't put too much detail in, that's just not possible. And we'll have a mast there where it's underwater. It's in quite shallow water, as you can imagine. Lovely. I think we're just a little turbulence around there, but we don't want to do too much detail. And I think we'll have just a little bit of texture through there. Now that is lovely. I love the concept of that. So let me now show you a couple of other things. First of all, there were thousands, as you know, thousands and thousands of soldiers, all on the beaches, and all waiting for their chance to be rescued. That's as far as I think I want to go there. This has been an explosion here. This is the seat of the explosion, and what I've done is the wind has carried the smoke. So the smoke is coming out from there. Now I won't do all of it, I'll just do a little bit because again it's a long-winded job. But you can see how this is all going to come out. And where you have that explosion, you have the smoke being pulled away. Denses here and then dispersing. So that, you'll see that in a little while. I'm going to continue with it now. I've done the other thing I want to show you, and I will complete off camera, is the other end of this vision, effectively. I can't think of a better word. I'm sure there is a better word than that, but I can only imagine that it's that kind of visionary scene that we can possibly imagine in our heads when we think of it. Now what I'm going to do, that will come down here. That will then disperse. The water will disperse, so I will have it not disappearing. It will disappear before it gets to that. Okay, so that's what I should do. So when I come back, all of that will be done, and I'll be then working on the, I'll start actually from the bottom here, believe it or not. I shall start from that landmass there, and then I'll work my way into the sky, and then somewhere between here and here, all of this will mould and come together. Time to switch pencils now. What I'm using is a 2B. It's a little stronger than the HB. And I'll start by putting that in there. This is the area behind this one in the front. So let me do the two together, because I really wanted to have the light travelling back there. Okay, it's going to be a little tricky, not a lot of room. There's going to be a point in time when we'll have to put the two together. Now I'll make that a little stronger, this one, because it's a bit nearer to us. But I've got to be careful because we've got the forward subject, like the boat, to consider too. Now I haven't really thought about the direction of the light source at the moment. It can either come from this direction or that direction. I've got a feeling I'm going to have it from this direction. It doesn't affect this up here, but it will affect this in a big way. So I'll have I'll have the light coming from that side, So that means this can continue to be quite dark, but over here, that side of the funnel will be, anyway, I won't continue with that, I can do that off camera. This is the bit I was concerned with. Now that has got to be a little lighter. What I think I might do is switch back to my HB pencil, because the HB is a little lighter. Now that will work all right. You see what I mean? So now that looks lighter behind there. That switches there, that's fine. That looks good. Now then the light of the water will disappear when we get here. So using just a little bit more strength with the 2B. Now that works well. It's quite important. I mean, I probably will use the water on this. I haven't made my mind up completely on that, but now you see that drops back nicely. And if it didn't, all we need to do really is just use the double-ended eraser just on that area behind and lighten it just a touch more. Now that looks great. That is absolutely fantastic. You can just about make everything out now, and I think we're going to make that just a little lighter there, because when I come to do the funnel, I will make it easier for me. Like that. Okay, back to the 2B pencil. Now we're going to put some cloud in. Now let's start the ball rolling with, first of all, I'm going to put some a bit of distant cloud in like that. I'm going to be careful here. Like that. And that can run along and come to say there, go one end and out the other. That's quite nice. Maybe too fussy. I like that. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so that's that plan. Now up here we want to make it just a little stronger. Side of the pencil, and these are clouds that are just a little bit closer to us. Squiggle and squiggle and around, so that what we're doing is creating. We've got to go all the way along with this, so it'll be a bit of a cloudy day. Now I won't worry about that side at the moment. Now what we've also got to do with this is this cloud has got to link up with our vision up here. Now using the 2B pencil, I'll do this end one first because it will tell me what I need to do. You see how already it's merging together. You've got to keep going. Now you could argue and say, well, why did you press harder, Colin? Now the thing is, it's better to do it a little bit at a time, otherwise you'll get it looking too black. But you see how that did work out really well. So let's continue with that. I won't do the whole lot because again it takes too much time up. But you can see how this is beginning to work. Now that break in the cloud there will also reflect in a break up here too. Now I said I wasn't going to do this with 2B, but it really is important to do it because I need it to be a little bit more dense than it is there. So now we have a cloud that breaks up in the sky, if you look at it like that. You see what I mean? But it also breaks up into the characters. Now these back. Now you could argue, can I alter my mind here? Can I change my mind? Yes, you can do. But what I don't want to do particularly is to rub anything out if I can help it. But I'm managing to work now the two together. I said I wasn't going to show you all of it, but I think it's important that I actually do show you this. Especially this bit now. What do we do with this bit now? We've got the clouds here, but that will disappear and go into. See? Now that works well. I like that. Now we've got on to 2 levels. We've got it good. We've got the cloud formation that's coming up from there, breaking there nicely, and the same thing. Now what I'll do is I'll do the rest of this because I need to link, and this is important. What do we do about that? I think we'll have to show it to you, because if it just suddenly appears by magic, you think, yeah, how did he do that? So I'm going to come from this end and just put a little bit of cloud like I've done the other, and just let that fade away when it gets to there. And here it's going to be quite strong. And let's think about, it's more important really to have the cloud on the, oh now that works well, on the subject down here than it is actually on, well, I can go through there, that's alright, so I can make that a little darker, than it is on the vision above. Now that's working well, isn't it? Put a little bit more depth there. You've got to be careful because now it looks as though I'm haloing that, so by stopping a halo by putting in that there, now that works well. Now I love that area now, I think that looks really good. Now you can see how much fun I'm having with it, can't you folks? So the same thing will apply to you. You'll love this. The pencils are stunning, I've got to say. And this is only the graphite, but when we get to use them, is watercolour. I won't be using watercolour up here. Almost certainly I won't. So we just have a sort of wispy cloud that comes across here. And I think we could almost get away with that like that. Otherwise you're going to have a circle there, so I don't really want that. So we just put us a little more depth. Now notice that I'm using the pencil and gripping it like I'm gripping it now. Alright? The reason for that is, first of all, I get the flatness easier on the paper because it's let me just show you. I'll turn it up the other way and see if you can see it from here. You see what I mean? Now I'm looking at the monitor, but there, you see how when it touches the cloud like it does there, it's flat on the paper. Got me? No. Well, if you didn't see it, but not much I can do about that, folks. Right. Okay, let's continue. I love the idea of this separation here on, so I'm not going to worry about that, but if we were to darken it just a little more there, like that, I think I've probably got both now, the best of both worlds. So, to finish off, well, now I've got to darken this a little more. Now that's interesting, folks, there. Now what is that? Well, I'll tell you what that's a little bit of me, and I've spat a bit on water on there, my saliva. So what do you do about it? Well, what you do is completely leave it alone. Whatever you do, don't touch it again. Don't try to rub it out. That will be fatal. But what it'll do, once it dries, I can get rid of it then. Which is a bit of a shame because I'm trying to get this done. Well, it's sometimes important, though, for you to see these things. Because you can see how you get over it. You're going to do the same thing at some time or other. And if I hadn't shown you, or I hadn't done it and shown you, you wouldn't know how to get out of it. But I can assure you we can get out of it. I'm making that a little darker there, as I'm going to make it a little darker here. Just put a little bit more pressure on. Now, having done that, you could also put just a little bit of this. The way I've done that below means you can darken this bit. You may have noticed those that are observant, and I've got a May 1940 in the sky. Let's make that a little bit more like 40. That's it. Because that was the date of the Dunkirk Operation Dynamo. Okay, happy with that, except that blob. And what I'm going to do now is to use the blender and go over the whole thing again, very, very lightly, so that we blend it in. And that includes here. I won't do it all, I'll just do this for you. Hey, down here too. Brilliant. That's come up well, isn't it? Okay, now I'll continue with this, and you can have a look at it when it's finished. I'll leave that blob there so I can show you how I can get rid of that. I promised you I'd show you how to take that mark out. That's all dry now. And just use the lightly the soft end of the double-ended eraser. Then I'd probably use a 2B pencil here. Very, very carefully fill it in like that. And then, folks, it completely disappears.